In this video we're going to look at using a collision map to drive the fragmentation mask. What we're going to do is we're going to born particles off of this plane here, have them shoot down, intersect, and create a collision map on this guy. And that collision map then, we're going to turn him into a particle and have him fragment based on that animated map. So we're going to go ahead and kind of divide this into a couple sections. The first section we're going to be called make collision map. And here in collision map we're going to create our first rule where we're going to born some particles on that plane. We're going to go ahead and use a create a born rule. We're going to go ahead and just use a matter waves, and we'll pick that plane there. We're going to go ahead and born all particles is fine. We're going to use about, let's see what 1 particle per second looks like, and let's go ahead and give him a little more speed. Let's see. Yeah, I think we'll probably want to increase the rate too. Let's do about 10 per second, and let's also have them fan out a little bit. So we're going to add some direction variation. Yeah, let's go more. Okay, so we've got a bunch of those being born. Let's go ahead and give them some shape. We've got a black box under M3D Basic called size shape. We'll just go ahead and connect this. Get rid of that one that we're not going to use. And then let's also go ahead and add some spin to these guys when they're born. Throw a spin on there. Okay. And what we're going to do now is create a collision map, so wherever these particles collide with this plane, it's going to create a map, or a white mark. The map will start off black and create a white wherever there's a collision. Then we're going to use that in a fragmentation to fragment that object. So we'll call this collision map, and let's go ahead and come here to tools. There's collision map. We'll create him. Now remember, the first object we pick with this collision map is going to be who the map is created on. Anybody else we pick after that is going to appear further down in this list, and they will actually be used to collide with that object. In our case, we're just going to have particles collide with this object. So what we're going to do first, let's pick our source object. It's that plane. He's going to make the map, and he's going to collide with the all group that's being born there. Let's go ahead and select a file. Let's come up to our proper directory. We've got a TP comprehensive. We've got a directory. Actually, we've already got one here called collision map. We'll just call this, let's just call it map and make it a JPEG. And we're going to go ahead and use the active time segment. And all this should be fine. Let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and record. Redraw is going to be off, and this will take a little bit, so I'm going to put you on pause. Okay, so this finishes up and it's done. Let's go ahead then and just take a look at that map. Let's come in here to our collision map directory that we made, and right here around 55, 56, 57 we start to see these white markings appear, and they're going to be quite pronounced. We're going to get a whole lot more of them the further down we go in time, and we'll end up with all kinds of streaks all over there. So what's going to happen is this map's going to be applied to this source object, and then let's actually go ahead and do that. Let's create a material and reference that collision map that we have. Send to projects, TP3 comprehensive, and do, where is it, collision map, and it's a sequence. And let's go ahead and make it visible and drop it onto that object. We'll turn off that, and so what we'll see is that as these particles come down, we're going to see them actually create markings on this object. You can see that one there, this one here, and so over time it's going to add up, and at each of these spots now, and remember that fragmenting, when we fragment this object, it's going to be based on the vertex. So look and see where this map, where these vertices are. The vertices are going to detect, hey, my bitmap value, how bright I am at that point, is going to drive whether or not I fragment. Okay, so we've got a bunch of those guys streaking across there. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and do this. We actually don't want that map on that object, just because when we fragment it and render, it's going to have an animated color map on there. At least in this case, we don't want that. We can go ahead and disable this whole section right here, make collision map, and we're going to go ahead and create a new section called frag with map. And let's go ahead and do this. We'll create a rule under frag with map called born. You know what? Let's actually go ahead and just reuse a black box that we had created in that test2 category, something we saved earlier called fragment with light. This way we'll automatically create our groups for us, and we'll just go ahead and grab these two and paste them up a level and get rid of that thing. Okay, so here in the born, what we've got now is we can define our source object, which is going to be this plane. The plane is going to be part of the source group, so we specify that, and we definitely want his shape, and then we'll go ahead and hide him. Okay, we'll come into Fragment, and Fragment's already set up with a bunch of parameters that we had already set. We don't want to use lights this time, so we'll uncheck that. And you can see instantly we get a bunch of something going on. Some frags created, a certain thickness. Right now we've got the count. Remember our frag, when we saved this black box, the count was set to 31. That's going to be too few, I think. So what we're going to do is we are going to say single faces for now. And then what we want to do is we want to actually fragment based on a mask. So we'll go ahead and say mask. We'll say bitmap. We'll go grab that collision map IFL that was created. And what we're going to see is, let's actually go ahead and enable this make collision map so that we can get these matter waves guys to still born. And we'll see the correlation between when they hit and when this guy frags. We'll go ahead and scrub forward. Okay, we see them start to hit. Now our fragment settings, these guys are pretty ridiculously thick in here, so we're going to go ahead and change that. Let's set the remaining mesh to be 1. Our master dynamic, our edit on the fly. Let's turn that on so that we get faster updates. And let's go ahead and change the fragment thickness. So we'll come down and hit, and then they'll start to create these fragments. And let's also change our remaining type to hollow, so we don't necessarily want that indentation like that. And we can see that everywhere that these guys would hit, and there's a vertex and creates the collision map, it uses that collision map in the fragment for the fragment mask. We've got a threshold on that mask so that the value of that bitmap at that vertex has to reach at least 0.1. And when it does, you can see this, like, take a look at this guy here as he collides and runs through. It creates a bunch of white values, and it goes ahead and fragments there. So this is just a pretty simple and quick way to go ahead and use a collision map. Use this tool to create a collision between a particle group and another object. And then once we want to fragment that object, we can go ahead and pull in that fragment mask, the collision map series, and use that as the fragmentation mask. We're going to go ahead and do one final step. We're going to go ahead and save all of this as a big black box called, let's see, frag CollMap. And we're going to go ahead and drag this make CollMap under there, and then also the frag with map under there. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and first let's reorganize some of these other dynamic sets. And this is all set. And then we'll go ahead and select this top guy, say save. Let's do this in the test2 category. We're going to save it as frag CollMap. And we want to use exist or create. So these groups will be created if they're not there, and they'll be used if they are there. Okay.